I left my keys on my desk. A simple mistake. I turned around, drove back to work. The parking lot was almost empty. Then I saw his car. Richard's car. He'd said he was working late across town. I didn't understand at first. Maybe he'd stopped by for something. Then I saw her, Jennifer, my best friend, in his passenger seat. Their faces close, too close. I sat there in my car, engine running, watching them. 23 years of friendship, 40 years of marriage. And I'm sitting here watching it end through a windshield. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. I always love knowing. My name is Aurora Hayes. I'm 67 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I knew exactly who I was. I was Richard's wife, Jennifer's best friend, a mother, a grandmother, a woman who'd built a life on trust and loyalty, and the belief that the people you love will never deliberately hurt you. I was wrong about all of it. But let me start at the beginning, not the parking lot. That comes later. I need you to understand what came before. The life I had. The life I thought was real. Richard, that was Richard. Always trying to make things right. Always charming. Always knowing exactly what to say. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. His parents, my parents, a few friends. Jennifer was my maid of honor. She'd been my roommate sophomore year. We'd become inseparable. Late-night study sessions, weekend road trips, sharing clothes and secrets and dreams. She was the sister I never had. The kind of friend you think you'll have forever. Richard got a job at an engineering firm in Seattle. Good salary, benefits, future. We bought a small house in the suburbs. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a yard that needed work. It was perfect. We were young and in love and stupid enough to think that was enough. I got pregnant 3 years into our marriage. A daughter, Violet. She had Richard's eyes and my stubbornness. Then 2 years later, a son, Cameron, quieter than his sister, more thoughtful. We were a family, complete, happy. Richard worked long hours, climbing the corporate ladder. Project manager, then senior project manager, then director. More money, bigger house, better neighborhood. The American dream playing out exactly as it was supposed to. Jennifer stayed close. She'd married too, a man named Derek. Nice enough. Worked in finance. They couldn't have children. Something about her uterus. Scarring from an infection when she was younger. She never talked about it much, but I saw the pain in her eyes every time she held Violet or Cameron. The longing. The grief for something she'd never have. So she became Aunt Jennifer. At every birthday party, every school play, every holiday, she and Derek would come over, bring gifts, stay late, help clean up. She was family. More than family. She was my person. The one I called when Richard annoyed me, when the kids drove me crazy, when I needed someone to just listen. 23 years of friendship. Coffee dates every Thursday morning. Book club twice a month. Girls' trips to the coast once a year. Knowing each other's passwords and alarm codes and deepest fears. That kind of friendship. The kind you think is unbreakable. The years pass the way years do when you're not paying attention. Violet went to college, graduated, got married, had a baby, made me a grandmother at 58. Cameron followed 2 years later. Different college, different path, but the same milestones. Marriage, baby, grandchildren. Richard and I became empty nesters. Just the 2 of us in that big house. 4 bedrooms we didn't need. A yard that was too much work. But we stayed, because it was home. Because it held memories. Because starting over seemed harder than staying put. Richard retired at 65. Full pension, good investments. We were comfortable, more than comfortable. We'd done everything right, saved, planned, built a future. Now we were living it. But something shifted after he retired. Small things at first. Easy to dismiss. He started going to the gym more often. 5 days a week. Sometimes 6. Said he needed a routine, needed structure. I understood. Retirement can be disorienting, going from 60-hour weeks to nothing. He needed something to fill the time. He bought new clothes, updated his wardrobe, said his old stuff was dated, made him look old. He wanted to look good, feel good. I thought it was healthy. Men his age often let themselves go, got soft, stopped caring. He started mentioning Jennifer more often, casually, in passing. Ran into Jennifer at the store. Jennifer recommended this restaurant. Jennifer said this movie was good. It didn't register as strange. Jennifer was our friend. Of course he'd run into her. We all lived in the same area, shopped at the same places, existed in the same orbit. Derek had died 2 years earlier. Heart attack. Sudden. He was 63. Dropped dead on a golf course. Jennifer had been devastated. Wore black for months. Lost weight. Stopped returning calls. I'd been there for her. Brought meals. Sat with her in silence. Held her while she cried. That's what friends do. After a year, she started to come back to life. Slowly, tentatively. Started accepting invitations again. Started smiling. Started talking about the future instead of the past. I was relieved. Grateful. I'd been worried about her. Worried she'd never recover. She started joining us for dinner more often. Once a week. Then twice. Richard would insist. Call Jennifer, see if she wants to come over. She shouldn't be alone so much. I thought he was being kind, thoughtful, looking out for our friend who'd lost her husband. I didn't see it. Didn't want to see it. Because seeing it meant questioning everything. Questioning 40 years. Questioning the man I'd built my life around. Questioning the friend I'd trusted with everything. Looking back now, the signs were everywhere. The way Richard's phone was always face down. The way he'd step outside to take calls. The way he started password protecting everything. His phone, his laptop, his email. Security, he said. Identity theft is everywhere. You can't be too careful. The way Jennifer started dressing differently when she came over. More makeup, nicer clothes, perfume. Strong perfume. The kind that lingers. The kind you notice. The way they'd stand too close in the kitchen. The way they'd laugh at jokes that weren't funny. The way they'd exchange glances I couldn't read. Quick. Fleeting. Gone before I could examine them too closely. But I didn't see it. Or I saw it and explained it away. Because that's what you do when you trust someone. You give them the benefit of the doubt. You assume the best. You don't jump to conclusions. You don't become that paranoid, suspicious person who sees betrayal everywhere until you can't explain it away anymore. It started 3 months ago. A Tuesday evening, late September. Richard said he had a meeting with some former colleagues. Dinner downtown, networking, maybe some consulting opportunities. He'd be home late. Don't wait up. I was fine with it, encouraged it even. He'd been restless since retiring. Maybe some part-time work would be good for him. Give him purpose, structure, something to do besides the gym and home improvement projects that never quite got finished. He left at 6. Kissed me goodbye. Said he loved me. Normal. Everything was normal. I made myself dinner. Leftover chicken. Salad. Watched a movie, something romantic and predictable. Fell asleep on the couch around 10. I woke up at midnight. The house was dark, quiet. Richard's car wasn't in the garage. I checked my phone. No messages. I called him. Straight to voicemail. Unusual, but not alarming. Maybe the dinner had run late. Maybe he'd forgotten to charge his phone. Maybe he'd had a drink and was being responsible. Calling an Uber. Leaving his car. He came home at 1:30. I heard the garage door. Heard him come in quietly, trying not to wake me. I stayed on the couch, pretended to be asleep, watched through half-closed eyes as he moved through the house. He looked normal, not drunk, not disheveled, just tired. "Richard?" I said softly. He jumped. "God, you scared me. I thought you were asleep." "I was. You're late. How was dinner?" "Good. Fine. Ran long. You know how it is." He smiled, kissed my forehead. "Go back to sleep. I'm going to shower." A shower at 1:30 in the morning, after dinner with colleagues. I lay there on the couch, listening to the water run, telling myself it was nothing. He'd probably spilled something. Wine, food, men are messy. It was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It happened again the next week. Another late meeting. Another shower when he got home. Another vague explanation that didn't quite add up. Then the week after that. And the week after that, a pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday, like clockwork. Meetings, dinners, consulting opportunities that never quite materialized into actual work. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. To his phone, his schedule, his habits. The way he'd dress up for these meetings. Nice shirt. Cologne. The expensive cologne I'd bought him for Christmas that he never wore. Until now. I thought about following him. Actually considered it. Driving behind him. Seeing where he really went. Who he really met. But that felt crazy. Paranoid. The behavior of a jealous wife in a bad movie. I wasn't that woman. We had trust. We had 40 years. We had a life. So I did nothing. Said nothing. Just watched. And waited. And hoped I was wrong. Jennifer came over for dinner on a Friday night. Early October. She brought wine. Expensive wine. We cooked together. Pasta. Garlic bread. Salad. Richard grilled chicken in the backyard. Everything normal. Everything fine. Except I noticed things. The way Jennifer's hand lingered on Richard's arm when she handed him a drink. The way she laughed too loud at his jokes. The way she kept fixing her hair. Checking her reflection in the kitchen window. The way Richard kept finding excuses to be near her. Reaching past her for the salt. After dinner, we sat on the back patio, drinking wine, talking about nothing. The weather, the news, Violet's kids. Jennifer mentioned she'd joined a gym, said she needed to get back in shape, get healthy. Richard mentioned he went to the same gym. What a coincidence. They should work out together sometime. Keep each other motivated. Jennifer agreed. That would be great. She'd love that. I sat there, drinking my wine, watching them make plans, watching my husband and my best friend. 40 years of marriage, 23 years of friendship. And I'm sitting there, watching something shift, something change, something break. But still, I said nothing, did nothing. Because saying something meant making it real, meant acknowledging that maybe, possibly, the people I trusted most in the world were lying to me. I started checking Richard's phone, waiting until he was in the shower, finding it on the nightstand, unlocked because he'd just used it. I'd scroll quickly, messages, emails. But there was nothing. Everything was normal. Messages to kids, group chats with old colleagues, emails about bills and appointments. Nothing suspicious, nothing incriminating. He was careful, or I was paranoid, or both. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago, a Tuesday. Richard had another evening meeting. Across town. Bellevue. Some former client. Might not be home until late. The usual story. I said fine. Have a good time. Drive safe. The usual responses. He left at 6:30. I made dinner. Ate alone. Washed dishes. Thought about calling Violet. Calling Cameron. Calling Jennifer. But what would I say? Your father might be lying to me. Your grandmother is paranoid. My best friend might be sleeping with my husband. I had no proof, just feelings, suspicions, a growing sense that something was wrong, that something had been wrong for months, that I'd been blind, willfully, stupidly blind. I finished the dishes, poured a glass of wine, sat at the kitchen table. I opened the Find My Phone app. We'd set it up years ago, safety measure, so we could locate each other in emergencies. I'd never actually used it, never needed to, never wanted to, because using it meant not trusting, meant suspecting, meant crossing a line. I crossed the line. I opened the app, found Richard's phone, watched the little blue dot sitting still. Not in Bellevue, not across town. Downtown Seattle, Pine Street. Outside a restaurant. Italian place. Expensive. Romantic. A kind of place you take someone special. Not the kind of place you have a business meeting. I sat there, staring at that blue dot, watching it, willing it to move, to make sense, to be somewhere else, anywhere else. It didn't move, just sat there for 20 minutes. 30. An hour. I closed the app, poured more wine, told myself there was an explanation. The meeting was at that restaurant. Nothing strange. Richard came home at midnight. Shower. Same routine. I pretended to be asleep. Didn't ask questions. Didn't say anything. Just lay there in the dark. Next to a man I'd slept next to for 40 years. A stranger. The next morning I called Jennifer. Asked if she wanted to meet for coffee. Our Thursday tradition. She said she couldn't. She had plans. What plans? Oh, just errands. Boring stuff. Maybe next week? She'd never canceled before. Not once in 23 years. Not unless she was sick or out of town. And she wasn't sick. Wasn't out of town. She was lying. I could hear it in her voice. The slight hesitation. The forced casualness. The guilt. I hung up. Sat at my kitchen table. In my beautiful house. In my beautiful life. And felt it all crumble. That night, Thursday night, Richard had another meeting. Same story. Different location this time. Tacoma. Former colleague. Consulting opportunity. Home late. I didn't argue. Didn't question. Just said, okay, have a good time. I waited an hour. Then I checked the app. The blue dot. Downtown Seattle again. Same restaurant. Pine Street. I grabbed my keys. My purse. My phone. I didn't plan it. Didn't think. Just moved. Got in my car. Started driving. 40 minutes to downtown. Traffic. Construction. Red lights that lasted forever. The whole time, my heart pounding. My hands shaking. My mind racing. What was I doing? What would I find? What would I say? Did I really want to know? Yes, I needed to know. After 40 years, after building a life, after trusting blindly, I needed to see, to know, to stop wondering. I found the restaurant, parked down the street, walked slowly, casually, like I belonged, like I wasn't a 67-year-old woman stalking her husband. I looked through the window. Dim lighting. Candles on tables. Couples. Romantic. intimate. And there they were, corner booth, facing each other, holding hands across the table. My husband, my best friend, laughing, leaning close, looking at each other the way Richard used to look at me, the way Jennifer used to look at Derek. I stood there, on the sidewalk, people walking past me, cars driving by, the city alive and moving around me, and I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. 40 years, 23 years, gone. Everything I thought I knew, everything I believed, a lie. I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes, hours. Time stopped meaning anything. But eventually, I turned around, walked back to my car, drove home. Automatic. Muscle memory. I don't remember the drive. Don't remember parking. Don't remember walking inside. Richard came home at 1. Shower. Normal routine. I was in bed, pretending to sleep. Pretending my world hadn't just ended. The next morning, Friday, I got up early, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, waited. Richard came down at 8. Cheerful, rested, whistling, poured coffee, kissed my cheek. "Sleep well?" he asked. "Fine," I said. "You?" "Great, like a baby." He smiled, sat across from me, opened his phone, started scrolling. I watched him. This man I'd spent my life with. Father of my children, grandfather to my grandchildren. Who was he? Had I ever really known him? "Richard," I said quietly. Still looking at his phone. "How was your meeting last night?" "Good, productive." He glanced up, smiled, went back to his phone. "In Tacoma?" A pause, brief, almost imperceptible. "Yeah, Tacoma." "That's funny," I said, my voice steady, calm. "Because your phone says you were downtown, Pine Street." He looked up, face blank, processing, then understanding, then something else. Anger? Fear? Hard to tell. "You're tracking me?" "We've had the app for years. Safety, remember?" "That's different. That's for emergencies." This felt like an emergency. Silence. Long. Heavy. He put down his phone, looked at me, really looked at me. And I saw it. The guilt, the caught, the end of pretending. "Aurora, don't," I said. "Don't lie. Please. Not anymore. I saw you. At the restaurant, with Jennifer. So just. Don't." More silence. Then he stood up, walked to the window, stood with his back to me. I watched his shoulders, tense, rigid. "How long?" I asked. "Aurora, how long, Richard?" "Weeks? Months? Years?" He turned around, faced me. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. 180 days of lying, of planning, of sneaking, of betraying everything we'd built. "Does Derek know?" I asked. Then I stopped, laughed, bitter, hollow. "Derek's dead. Of course he doesn't know." "How convenient. It's not like that." "Then what's it like? Explain it to me. Help me understand." He sat down, rubbed his face, tired, old. "I didn't plan it. We didn't plan it. It just happened." "Things don't just happen, Richard. You make choices. You chose this, both of you." She was lonely. I was lonely. We started talking, really talking, about Derek, about retirement, about getting old, about everything, and it just evolved. Evolved. I tasted the word. Bitter, clinical. "You're having an affair with my best friend, and you call it evolved?" "I love her." 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Final. I love her. Present tense. Not past. Not loved. Love. Now, currently, actively. I stood up, my legs shaking, my whole body shaking. "Get out. Aurora. Get out of my house. Now. This is my house too. I don't care. Get out. Go to her. Go to Jennifer." He didn't move, just sat there, looking at me, like he was trying to decide something, weighing options, calculating costs. "I'm calling a lawyer," I said. "Today, right now, we're done. Let's talk about this. Be reasonable." "Reasonable?" My voice rose, cracked. "You've been sleeping with my best friend for 6 months and you want me to be reasonable?" "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did. You are. Every day. Every lie. Every time you came home smelling like her perfume and let me kiss you goodnight. You hurt me." He stood up, walked toward me. I stepped back, held up my hand. "Stop. Don't." He stopped. "I'll pack some things," he said quietly. "We'll talk later, when you've calmed down." "Don't come back," I said. "There's nothing left to talk about." He went upstairs. I heard drawers opening, closing, footsteps, movement. Then he came back down, suitcase in hand, stood in the doorway, looking at me, one last time. "I'm sorry," he said. "No," I said. "You're not really. You're sorry you got caught. That's all." He left. I heard his car start, heard it drive away. Then, silence. I stood in my kitchen, in the house we'd bought together, raised our children in, grew old in, and I realized I was completely alone. 40 years, gone. In one conversation, one confession, one truth. I called Violet, told her everything. She cried, screamed, said she'd come over. I said, "No, not yet. I needed time. Needed to think. Needed to figure out what came next." I called Cameron. Same conversation, same reaction, same offer to come over, same refusal. Then I called Jennifer. She didn't answer. I called again. Again. Finally, she picked up. "Aurora." "Don't," I said, "just don't. I know. Richard told me. I saw you. So just don't." "I'm so sorry." When did it start? When did you decide to betray me?" "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like? Tell me. Make me understand how my best friend could do this to me." Silence. Then crying. Soft, pathetic. "I was lonely after Derek. I was so lonely. And Richard was there, and he understood. And it just, you keep saying that. It just happened, like you had no choice, no agency, no control. But you did. You both did. You chose this. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, every lie. You chose it. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did. You destroyed everything. 40 years of marriage, 23 years of friendship, all of it, gone. Because you were lonely? Because it just happened? Aurora, please. Don't call me again. Don't come to my house. Don't try to explain. We're done. You and me. We're finished." I hung up, blocked her number, sat on my kitchen floor, and cried. Deep, wrenching sobs that came from somewhere ancient, somewhere primal, the place where grief lives. That was 3 weeks ago. The beginning, the moment my life split into before and after. Before I knew, after I knew. Before the truth, after the lie. And then, last Tuesday, the parking lot, the keys, the moment everything changed again. I'd started working again, part-time, administrative assistant at a law firm. Something to do, something to keep me busy, keep my mind occupied, away from the empty house, the empty bed, the empty life. I left work at 5, drove home, got halfway there and realized I'd left my keys on my desk. Office keys, house keys, everything. I'd driven home with my car key, but the rest, still sitting on my desk. I turned around, drove back. 10 minutes. The parking lot was almost empty. Most people gone for the day. Just a few cars scattered around. And then I saw it. Richard's car. His silver Lexus. Unmistakable. Parked near the back, away from the building, in the shadows. I didn't understand at first. Why was he here? He didn't work here, didn't know anyone here, had never even been here. Maybe he was picking me up? Maybe he wanted to talk? Maybe he'd come to apologize? I slowed down, approached carefully, and then I saw her, Jennifer, in his passenger seat. Both of them, faces close, too close, talking, laughing, his hand on her face, her hand on his arm. They were watching me, waiting for me, making sure I saw, making sure I knew. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate, calculated, cruel. I sat there in my car, engine running, watching them through my windshield. 23 years of friendship, 40 years of marriage, and I'm sitting here watching it end, again, differently, worse. Because this time, they wanted me to see. This time it wasn't hidden. This time it was a message. We're together. We're happy. We don't care. You don't matter. I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Engine running, hands gripping the steering wheel, so tight my knuckles went white. Watching them. Watching Richard lean closer to Jennifer. Watching her laugh at something he said. Watching them exist in their little bubble of happiness, while my world disintegrated for the second time in 3 weeks. They hadn't noticed me yet. Or maybe they had and didn't care. Either option was equally devastating. I could have driven away, should have driven away, gone home, called my lawyer, let the professionals handle it. But something stopped me. Something harder than grief. Something colder than betrayal. Rage. Pure. Clarifying. Rage. I turned off my engine, got out of my car. My legs felt strange, disconnected, like they belonged to someone else. But they carried me forward, across the parking lot, toward Richard's car, toward them. Jennifer saw me first. Her eyes went wide. She said something to Richard. He turned, looked at me through the windshield. For a second, just a second, I saw guilt. Then it was gone, replaced with defiance, like he'd made a decision, chosen a side, and it wasn't mine. I walked up to the passenger window, Jennifer's side, knocked on the glass, not hard, just enough to make a sound. She didn't move, just stared at me, face frozen, like a deer in headlights. I knocked again, harder this time. Richard leaned across her, rolled down the window, manual. He'd always refused to get power windows, said they were unreliable. One of his many quirks I'd tolerated for 40 years. "Aurora," he said, voice flat, "what are you doing here?" "I work here," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Remember? I told you, last week, I got a job. What are you doing here?" Silence. Jennifer looked down at her lap. Richard looked at me. Neither of them answered. "You followed me," I said. Not a question. A statement. "You wanted me to see this." "Don't be paranoid," Richard said. "Paranoid?" I laughed. Short. Bitter. "I catch you with her 3 weeks ago. You move out. And now you're parked outside my workplace, in the shadows, waiting. And I'm paranoid." "We weren't waiting for you," Jennifer said quietly. Her first words. "We were just talking." "Here? In a parking lot? Outside where I work? By coincidence?" Neither of them answered. I looked at Jennifer. Really looked at her. My best friend. The woman who'd held me when my mother died. Who'd been there for every milestone, every celebration, every crisis. Who knew me better than anyone. Who I'd trusted with everything. "Why?" I asked. Simple question. Impossible answer. "Aurora," she started. "I really want to know. Why? What did I do? What did I not do? What was missing that made you decide to destroy everything?" It's not about you, she said. And what's it about? Love? You love him? He loves you? Is that it? She didn't answer, just looked at Richard, like she was waiting for him to speak, to defend them, to explain. He didn't, just sat there, silent. Get out of the car, I said to Jennifer. What? Get out. I want to talk to you, without him. Aurora, don't make a scene, Richard said. A scene? My voice rose. You're my best friend and you're worried about a scene? People were coming out of the building. End-of-day stragglers. They were looking at us, whispering. I didn't care. Jennifer opened the door, got out slowly, stood facing me. She looked older than I remembered, tired, worn. Or maybe I just never really looked at her before. Never seen past the surface. The smile, the friendship, the lie. I'm sorry, she said. I know you don't believe me, but I am. I never wanted this to happen. But it did happen. You made it happen. Both of you. Every choice, every lie. Every time you sat at my tab. I was lonely. Stop. I held up my hand. Stop using loneliness as an excuse. Everyone gets lonely. Not everyone betrays the people who love them. You don't understand. Then help me understand, please, because I'm trying. I'm really trying to understand how you could do this. She looked down, tears running down her face. But I felt nothing. No sympathy. No compassion. Just cold, empty rage. Derek's been gone 2 years, she said quietly. 2 years of being alone. Coming home to an empty house, no one to talk to, no one to touch, no one who cares if I live or die. And Richard was there. He understood. He'd been with you for 40 years, but he was lonely too. We were both lonely, and we found each other. He was lonely? I stared at her. He was married, to me, living in my house, sleeping in my bed. How was he lonely? Marriage isn't the same as connection, she said. You can be married and still be alone. I looked at Richard. Still sitting in the car, watching us. He didn't answer, just looked away. Answer me. My voice cracked, broke. 40 years, 2 children, grandchildren, a life. Was I not enough? Was I boring? Old? What? It's not about you, he said. Same words Jennifer had used, like they'd rehearsed, practiced, got their story straight. Then what is it about? It's about me, what I want, what makes me happy. There it was, the truth, finally. Stripped of excuses and explanations. It was about him. His happiness, his wants, his needs. 40 years of marriage, 23 years of friendship. None of it mattered, only what he wanted. And she makes you happy? I asked, gesturing to Jennifer. Yes, he said. No hesitation, no doubt. She does. I looked at Jennifer. She was crying harder now, but nodding, agreeing. Then I hope you're happy, I said, surprised by how calm my voice sounded. I hope it's worth it. 40 years, gone, for happiness. I turned to walk away, then stopped, turned back. One more thing, I said. Did you ever love me at all, or was it all a lie? Richard looked at me, really looked at me. And for a moment, I saw the boy I'd met in that coffee shop. Young, earnest, full of possibility. I did, he said quietly, once, a long time ago. But people change. Feelings change. I'm sorry. Sorry. That word again. Empty. Meaningless. Performative. I walked away, back to my car. Got in, started the engine, drove out of that parking lot without looking back, without crying, without falling apart. I drove home, automatic, muscle memory, parked in my driveway, sat there for a long time, just sat, breathing, existing, trying to figure out what came next. Then I called Violet. Mom? She answered on the first ring. Are you okay? No, I said. I'm not. But I will be. Can you come over? I'm on my way. She arrived 20 minutes later, Cameron right behind her. They'd called each other, coordinated. My children, taking care of me the way I'd taken care of them. We sat in my living room. I told them everything. The parking lot, the conversation, Richard's words, Jennifer's tears, all of it. Violet cried. Cameron got angry. Started talking about confronting Richard, teaching him a lesson, making him pay. No, I said, that's not how we do this. Then how? Violet asked. How do we do this? We win, I said. Properly, legally, completely. The next morning, I called Patricia Chen, the lawyer Olivia had used. Got her name from my daughter-in-law during a conversation weeks ago when I'd first found out about Richard. Just in case, she'd said. Just in case you need help. I needed help. Patricia was in her 50s, sharp, professional, no nonsense. She listened to everything, took notes, asked questions. Then she leaned back in her chair and looked at me. How much do you want to hurt him? She asked. What? Your husband. Do you want to hurt him? Financially, socially, emotionally? Or do you just want out? I thought about that. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? Freedom? All of it? None of it? I want what's fair, I said finally. I want what I deserve after 40 years. I want him to understand what he gave up, what he lost. I want him to regret it. Then we fight, Patricia said. Hard. We take everything we can. The house, the pension, the investments, the savings, everything. We make it hurt. Can we do that? Washington is a community property state. Everything acquired during marriage is split 50-50. But if we can prove infidelity, financial misconduct, hiding assets, we can swing it in your favor, significantly. He's been taking money out, I said suddenly, remembering. Cash withdrawals. I noticed them on our bank statements, too, 3,000 at a time, for months. I thought maybe he was gambling or buying something expensive, surprising me. Patricia smiled, not a happy smile, a predatory smile. That's financial misconduct. Marital assets used for an affair. That's grounds for unequal distribution. Over the next 2 weeks, we built a case. Bank statements, credit card bills, phone records, text messages I'd screenshotted before Richard changed his passwords, photos I'd taken at the restaurant, the timeline, everything. Patricia was thorough, relentless. She found things I'd missed. Hotel charges on Richard's personal credit card, jewelry purchases, dinners, gifts, thousands of dollars spent on Jennifer, while I'd been clipping coupons and shopping sales to save money for retirement. She also found something else, a joint account I didn't know about. Richard and Jennifer, opened 6 months ago, right when the affair started, with $50,000 in it. 25 from Richard, 25 from Jennifer. Their future, their plan. This is good, Patricia said when she showed me. This is very good for us, very bad for him. We filed for divorce, cited adultery, financial misconduct, demanded the house, the primary pension, 70% of all assets, full reimbursement for money spent on the affair, and attorney fees. Richard's lawyer called it outrageous, vindictive, gold-digging. Patricia called it justice. The divorce took 4 months. 4 brutal months of depositions and negotiations and arguments. Richard fought everything, claimed the affair wasn't relevant, that we'd grown apart naturally, that I was being bitter and spiteful. Patricia destroyed him, brought in witnesses, neighbors who'd seen Jennifer's car at our house during the day when I was at work, friends who'd noticed them together at restaurants, at movies, at the gym, always together, always alone, always inappropriate. She brought in bank records showing the cash withdrawals, the secret account. She brought in a forensic accountant who testified that Richard had been systematically moving money out of our joint accounts, preparing, planning, getting ready to leave, but wanting to take as much as possible. The judge was a man in his 60s, married 43 years. He listened to everything, looked at all the evidence. Then he looked at Richard with something close to disgust. "Mr. Hayes," he said, "you have violated the fundamental trust of marriage. You have engaged in financial misconduct. You have systematically deceived your wife while planning your exit. This court finds your behavior reprehensible." He awarded me the house, Richard's full pension, 65% of all other assets, full reimbursement for money spent on the affair, $78,000, plus attorney fees. Richard went pale. His lawyer objected, started talking about appeals. The judge shut him down. "This is my ruling," he said. "Final. Unless you can prove gross misconduct or judicial error, which you can't, because there isn't any. Your client made his choices. Now he lives with the consequences." Outside the courthouse, Richard tried to talk to me. I walked past him, didn't look, didn't stop, didn't acknowledge his existence. Patricia put her hand on my shoulder. "You won," she said. Yes, I agreed. I did. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. Barely. The next week, I changed the lots on the house. Packed up everything of Richard's that he'd left behind. Clothes, books, golf clubs, photos, all of it. Put it in boxes, had it delivered to Jennifer's house, where he was living now. With her, in Derek's house, in Derek's bed, building their future on top of everyone they'd hurt. I heard through mutual friends that they'd gotten engaged 2 months after the divorce was final. A small ceremony, just immediate family. Quick, quiet, like they were ashamed, or scared, or both. I hoped they were miserable. I hoped every time they looked at each other, they saw what they'd destroyed to be together. I hoped the guilt ate them alive. But mostly, I hoped I'd stop caring, stop thinking about them, stop letting them take up space in my head and my heart. That part took longer. I started therapy, twice a week at first, then once, working through 40 years of marriage, 23 years of friendship, the betrayal, the lies, the loss. My therapist asked me what I'd learned, what I'd take from this experience. I thought about that, really thought about it. Trust yourself, I said finally. When something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore your instincts. Don't explain away red flags. Don't choose comfort over truth. Anything else? She asked. People will disappoint you, even people you love, even people you trust. That's not a reason to stop loving or trusting, but it's a reason to be careful, to protect yourself, to remember that you're the only person you can truly rely on. She smiled. That's good. That's healthy. You're healing. Am I? You're here. You're working. You're moving forward. That's healing. 6 months after the divorce, I sold the house. Too big, too many memories, too much Richard. I bought a small condo downtown, 2 bedrooms, one for me, one for when the grandchildren visit. Modern, clean, new, mine. I decorated it exactly how I wanted. Colors Richard would have hated. Art he would have called pretentious. Furniture he would have said was impractical. Every choice mine. Every decision mine. My space. My life. Violet and Cameron helped me move. We spent a weekend unpacking boxes, hanging pictures, making it home. We ordered pizza, drank wine, laughed about stupid things, normal things. It felt good. I'm proud of you, Mom, Violet said that night. We were sitting on my new couch, looking out at the city lights. For surviving this, for being strong. I didn't have a choice, I said. You always have a choice. You chose to fight, to stand up for yourself, to not let them destroy you. That takes strength. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was strong. Or maybe I was just stubborn. Too stubborn to let Richard and Jennifer win. Too stubborn to disappear. Too stubborn to become a cautionary tale. I started dating 8 months after the divorce. Nothing serious. Coffee, dinner, movies, men my age. Widowers mostly. Divorced men. Men who understood loss and starting over. Some were nice, some weren't. None of them were Richard. Which was the point. I ran into Jennifer once, at the grocery store. We saw each other across the produce section. She froze. I froze. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Two women who used to know everything about each other, now strangers. She opened her mouth, like she was going to say something. Apologize maybe, explain, beg forgiveness. I turned around, walked away, left my cart, left the store. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. That was 2 months ago. I haven't seen her since. Haven't seen Richard either. They exist in their bubble. I exist in mine. Our lives no longer intersect. By choice, by necessity, by survival. I'm 68 now. 1 year older than when my life exploded. 1 year wiser. 1 year stronger. I have my children. My grandchildren. My friends. Real friends. People who showed up. Who stayed. Who didn't betray me. I have my little condo. My job. My therapy. My healing. I have my life. Different than I planned. Smaller maybe. Quieter. But mine. Completely, fully, finally, mine. Some people asked if I'm bitter. If I'm angry. If I hate Richard and Jennifer. I don't. Not anymore. Hate takes energy. Bitterness is exhausting. Anger is a weight I don't want to carry. What I feel is sad. For what we had and lost. For the years we wasted. For the friendship that could have been saved if Jennifer had just been honest. If she'd said no. If she'd remembered what we meant to each other. But mostly, I feel free. Free from lies. Free from wondering. Free from living half a life with someone who didn't really want me. Richard made his choice. Jennifer made hers. And I made mine. To survive. To heal. To move forward. To build something new from the ruins of what was destroyed. That's not revenge. That's not even justice. That's just life. Messy. Painful. Complicated. Beautiful. Life. And I'm living it. On my terms. In my way. Without them. That's enough. That's everything. What would you do if this happened to you? Tell me in the comments. I always read them. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more true life stories like mine.